We are taught from birth that to get what we want, we must grip it. We are told that hunger is the key to success. But there is a silent, psychological trap hidden in that hunger. Have you ever noticed that the more you solve for someone's affection, the further they drift, or the harder you grind for a breakthrough, the more the flow state eludes you? In psychology, this is known as hyperintention. By wanting something too badly, you signal to your subconscious that you are currently lacking it. You aren't operating from a place of power. You're operating from a place of scarcity. When you are attached to an outcome, your brain enters a threat state. Your amygdala begins to monitor every micro-interaction. You stop being charismatic and start being calculated. In social dynamics, needing is a repellent. The philosopher Alan Watts called this the backwards law, the idea that the more you pursue feeling secure, the more insecure you feel. Think of your mind like a pool of water. To see the bottom, you cannot stir the water. You must let it sit. To master detachment, stop being the seeker and start being the source. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It reflects what you are. When you act as the version of you who is already successful, your brain begins to filter the world differently. Solve the problem of your own internal lack, and the external problems solve themselves. Build a beautiful garden, and the butterfly will come. And if it doesn't, you still have your garden. That is true freedom.
You always get what you want. Invariably. Even though you may think that it's entirely opposed to your wishes. Everything that comes to you is a return to you of what goes out of you. Yes, obviously, that's absurd. If you confine the definition of yourself to your voluntary, conscious behavior, that's a ridiculous definition of oneself. Oneself, by any stretch of the imagination, must involve far more than the conscious and voluntary aspects of our behavior. And if we see that it involves intimately and inescapably the behavior of what we call the other, the not-self, the environment, and see that these two are moving together like the two sides of the snake when it swims, then you get a very curious feeling. You have to be careful of it. When you get this sensation that the two sides of the world, the inside and the outside, are moving together, you may think, I am ruling it. I am God in the Western sense of the word. Therefore, your ego, instead of being, as it were, integrated and transcended with all this process, merely assumes vast dimensions, has megalomania, is blown up by the mystical experience. And so you get the holier-than-thou people going around who seem to think that they're above all human conventions and have no obligations to anyone or anything, because they're divine and they can do as they damn please. What they haven't realized is that doing as you will isn't a new kind of behavior that you suddenly put on and say, from now on I'm going to go around doing as I will. You have to realize first that that's what you've always been doing. And you could look at this from a very simple point of view. But you can say, well, now what about the people who did good and who did the things that they didn't want to do? Well, what about that? Well, you can always say, the kid obeyed the mother and did the thing that it didn't like because that was the better part of wisdom. In other words, if it hadn't done that, something worse would have happened. And we choose the lesser of two evils. And when you find yourself in a situation where you have to choose the lesser of two evils, then you say, I want out of here. And you take the easiest way. You take the line of least resistance. And the second thing is, if you think then that everything that happens to everybody is what they really want to happen, then you can absolve yourself from any qualms about being unkind to someone, because you could say, well, the unkindness I did you was what you really wanted, wasn't it? We're all doing that, but we manage to remain unconscious of it, so that we can praise and blame and play the game which says, that's not my fault, that's your fault. And so we go around apportioning faults to everybody. Because if we're going to apportion praise for what the good things people do, you can't make praise mean anything unless you also go around blaming. Now, you can pursue that more profoundly when you stop thinking about human behavior as something that responds to the compulsion of an environment. And you can get out of that when you see the behavior of the environment as an essential aspect of you. This point of view can be understood if we clarify the initial problems we have about it. And I suppose the first problem is, if we accept the notion that everything that happens to us is our own karma, our own doing, then we have to be very careful of, shall we say, the devil of omnipotence, of inflation, of feeling that your ego is what is in control of all this. You get